The legacy of TowerFall was only felt on Nintendo platforms earlier this year when developer Matt Thorson launched Celeste on Switch. Celeste is, at least in my eyes, a veritable masterpiece, but its quality wasn't a surprise to me as I had previously fallen in love with the controls of the single-screen 2D platforming action of TowerFall. Originally released for the Ouya in 2013, this game finally comes to a Nintendo system, packed in with all of the expansions of previous releases, as well as some brand new content, most predominantly a 6-player option and Celeste cameos. The magic of TowerFall was obvious back when it first released, but every addition to it has just improved what was already so good to a point where it's almost complete local multiplayer mastery. For the uninitiated, TowerFall is a single-screen 2D platforming game split into two primary styles. The heart and soul is the competitive multiplayer, pitting anywhere from 2 to 6 players together on a map where they usually start with an arrow weapon and nothing else. Various customizable rule sets and modifiers allow for all sorts of tweaking, but the default rules are that you just want to survive and defeat other players by hitting them with an arrow, stomping on their heads, or felling them with an item or stage hazard. It's fast-paced, engrossing, and hilarious, the latter even more pronounced by the quick replays of the final kill of the match. The degree of modifiers and customization for matches is a little daunting, but it allows for a lot of chicanery and specification. You can essentially craft the multiplayer match type that works for you and your friends. Pick between a variety of items and arrow types, make it so corpses explode on death, or even tweak it so players can have individual handicaps. There's even a big head mode, a ghost mode. The list of options is dizzying, but thanks to good UI and explanations, rather straightforward. New to the Switch version is a 6-player mode. If you have enough people to do it, I recommend it. All stages have 6-player variants that are a little wider. The regular multiplayer, for the record, is not in widescreen. And while the 6-player matches seem to skew a little more chaotic, it's similar to 8-player Smash Bros. In that it's a fun novelty that is great for when you have more than 4 people around. To summarize, 4 players is probably the ideal, but 6 players is still super fun. What never really stuck with me as much with TowerFall over the years was the single-player and cooperative modes. Playing through the content in the Switch version made these modes stand out more to me though. Quest and Dark World are the 2 primary modes, both being sets of single-screen challenges where you, and other players if you want to, have to survive waves of enemies. Bosses show up and the going gets tough, especially in the harder difficulties. I don't think this content could stand up to scrutiny if it was all the game was, but as a solo option and a complement to the competitive aspect, it's absolutely fantastic. Single-player time trials are also available for you to hone your arrow-slinging skills. TowerFall is best as a competitive local multiplayer game, and if you're commonly in the situation of having friends around to shoot some arrows at, it's an absolute must-play. If you're not, it's a little bit of a harder sell. No online play holds it back a bit, and while the single-player elements are deeper than you might expect, it's not necessarily enough to stand on its own. That being said, TowerFall is an outrageously incredible local multiplayer game, quite possibly one of my favorites of all time. Smash Bros. Ultimate might draw attention away from TowerFall when it launches later this year, but I'm reminded of how when Super Smash Bros. For Wii U came out, I had a group of friends over and we wound up playing more TowerFall on my PlayStation 4 than we did Smash on my Wii U. In the ever-expanding sea of local multiplayer games on Switch, TowerFall stands out, thanks to its intuitive and fun gameplay, excellent style and presentation, and variety of play.